confirm where it fits in on the chronology of the Alien series?
Yeah, when I start the process of writing, we're really given all the freedom in the world by the studio, like to write what is my ideal Alien movie, and so you kind of because the style is so different, and when I'm trying to decide, I was like, you kind of tempted between what do you want to do, the style of the first one or more in the style of the second one, and I realized to make any fan of Alien choose between 1 and 2 is a perverse question, right? You should never make people choose. So I was like, okay, if I set it right in the center between those two worlds, we can really embrace elements of both movies. So it takes place kind of roughly right in the middle between the timeline. But when I choose it stylistically, the vibe of the movie is pretty much what would be the sum of those two movies combined.
And wasn't one of your goals to make Aliens scary again when you took on this project?
Well, I don't know if it's a goal. It's just the only way I know how to tell stories. I try to sometimes to not make them scary, and they always end up fucked up in some way or another. So I guess so, yeah. I mean, I did find the latest entries not as scary as they felt to me the first movie. So what I wanted, every time what I did with Evil Dead, it was trying to, catch some of those emotions that I had when I watched the first movies originally, right? I tried to reproduce that in the screen and try to inflict in the audience the same kind of punishment that those original movies inflicted on me. So that's hopefully what this one will be on you.
And part of the way of it getting back into the groove of those earlier films, first and second, was bringing back these geniuses who worked on Aliens on. Could you talk about working with Shane and Alec and the marching orders you gave these guys?
Well, this is a true story. They know that. The way Hollywood works normally is that you kind of get one company to do most of the work because you get a better price out of these guys. They're very expensive. So the way you negotiate the prices, I'll give you everything, so you bring your price down. And when we're in the middle of that, I had met both of them, and I knew, and a lot of people involved with Aliens as well. I had a lot of the artists involved in those movies as part of my research. And when it was about, everything was about to go in one direction, I realized, this is wrong. I want to work with all of them. Not only I want to work with all of them, but I wanted to see them working together, because I grew up, I watched these guys talking when they were 20 years old, sitting together in a chair, on the set of Aliens, and it's been a dream come true to me. I told you guys this, there was a moment on the making of this movie, although they have the different creatures that they deal with, because these movies, and even this one, it might feel to you guys, way bigger budgets and whatever, but there's never enough for what you want to do. So there was moments where they ended up working together because they were helping each other, like him with his creature and vice versa. Their teams ended up being under the table, puppeteering, and there was tears in my eyes those days where I could really see them working together again, doing those things that I watched them doing when you were in your train. So it's been a complete reconstruction. That was also the plan, to bring them all together. Everybody, there's a lot of people that just want to be in this movie. These two guys, amazing. We even got Phil Tippett to do some stop motion for us.
Phil Tippett, that is so cool.
It was, and the Weta Workshop guys in New Zealand, they worked a lot with us as well. For them, it was a dream to work with them and to collaborate in it. So it was even the local guys in Budapest workshop the movie, Ivan, who had been at Stan Winston Studio when he was 20, and now he was so happy that we have a photo of all of us together, all the Creature Facts team there. It was truly one in a lifetime experience.
Shane and Alec, could you talk about how this fits in with the work you did on your previous Alien films, and how it was going back to the original in a lot of ways?
Well, I hadn't worked on, and our crew hadn't worked on an Alien film since James Cameron's film, and that's where Alec and I worked together last on an Aliens film. So that's what Fede's talking about, and that was a real return to a magical moment in my life when I was working on the sequel to a film that was something I held in high regard, because when the first film came out, it was a milestone in many, many ways. And I never thought that I would work on a sequel to it. And being able to return 30-some years later, the call came out of the blue from Fede. So I never expected it. We never expected it. A great many of our crew are in the audience tonight, and I must credit them for everything, because at this point, I'm rather a conductor of a fine orchestra. You can't do it all yourself these days, and that's a big change from 1985 to today. And that, it just made me so happy to see this creature come back alive and be given the chance because of Fede, and to work together again with Alec on set. It was like it was only last week. It was really something else.
Yeah, there was a moment where Shane and I were on one of the sets, and the sets looked exactly like they could have been in Alien or Aliens. And we're both sliming our creatures, and we stopped and looked at each other and said, my God, it's like 1985 again. And at that moment we realized we are the Joan Crawford and Betty Davis of practical effects.
I'm the blonde one. He's in the wheelchair.
He's baby Shane.
Yeah. I made him eat a rat the next day.
No, seriously though, it was really great to be part of a dream team, and I got it when I learned that it was Shane and Legacy, my crew, my new company, my solo company. Oh, well, thank you. And my crew's here tonight too. With some of my folks are here. Where are they? They're back in the cheap seats. I know every one of your names, damn it.
Did you guys feel the spirit of Stan Winston when you were recreating some of those earlier milestones?
His spirit is always there. You know, you can't shake that. You just can't. And there's a lot of lessons from that moment that I would implement into the new creature, because I could hear Jim Cameron's voice saying, "Why don't you make this thing just constantly drool with a mechanism?" And that's what the guys did. They made something that would constantly drool. So you take those lessons and implement them and make it better.
I think also that between Jim and Stan Winston, those lessons have always been there in the DNA of the practical effects that we've done and what you've done. And it was really just a great opportunity to work for someone like Fede, who is a huge fan of not only those original movies, but practical effects in general. So for me, this guy is part of the new breed of directors who gets what we do and will fight for us to get our stuff in his movies.
You should, and I don't, sometimes people hear that it's like, oh, you were romantic, or some bullshit like that, but it's not true. It's like we, right now at this moment when we're finishing the movie, like the final shots, you should see all the, and they do a great job at all the big Weta, the ILM, the big visual effects companies. The challenge that they have is that sometimes if they have it some shot having to add some CG element, they're forced to match what you guys did. And it's constantly, they send their version, it's like, oh, it's not good as practical. It's not, look at the shot again, and they look at the practical, and they can't match it. So there's a limitation of the technology that happens in CG, so over and over in the movie, we end up just always with the practical shots, because it's truly, so I'm saying it's not and sometimes people think it's just a romantic approach or whatever, it's not, it's just practical shit looks much better, and in particular in horror where you need to believe the thing is in there, it just makes a massive difference.
Fede, there's been some speculation that James Cameron had some input in the movie. Is that true?
It's true, both. Ridley, obviously, he's my producer, so Ridley's been involved throughout from the beginning since we had the first ideas, and and read the script and was involved and watched the movie. But Cameron, I had the privilege to meet him a few years ago because he watched Don't Breathe and he loved it, and he invited me to see when he was shooting Avatar 2. And so, you know, we get friendly, and when this came about, the idea of making Alien, and so I reached out to him, and he was amazing. Like, he was like a couple hours of his time in the middle of making Avatar 2, just to brainstorm, you know, about this movie. And also, most of his biggest input, I tell you, was early on discussing aliens and making me he made me understand that he said to me, like, if you have to understand that to make a movie like this be special and really transcend, whatever your budget allows you, you have to push for a lot more, and you won't have the money, so that means you have to do a lot yourself, and you have to be involved with every detail, and you really have to be there. Like this, it doesn't happen by just leaning back and see, you know, hire a bunch of people. Like, you have to be there with everybody and truly put your heart and soul in it. And like, I'm sure hopefully that's true. But all I heard about Cameron making Aliens is that he's right there under the table and painting the sets and doing a lot of that with everybody. So that was one of the things that that's not what I thought. I thought, like, oh, the bigger the movie sometimes, the more you step back. But no, I probably made this in a way more personal and independent spirit than I did even Evil Dead, my first film. Right?
Speaking of Sir Ridley Scott, the guy's in his well into his 80s, shows no signs of slowing down. What was it like collaborating with him and working with him?
It's terrifying because really it's very intimidating. It's scary to get into a phone call like we did on the beginning of this project and talk to Ridley and tell him, what do you think an alien movie should be, right? That's really cheeky of me. But that was terrifying. But he's really been amazing. But also Ridley is brutally honest. He's brutally honest. And I remember reading online, like when Blade Runner came out, which I thought was a masterpiece. Like, he was like, I don't know. You know, he didn't like something about it, which is openly criticized it with no problem whatsoever. So I was terrified of that. But when the movie was done and we took it to him, he watched it and came to me, and he was like, honestly, I could see that he was surprised, and he was like, what can I say? It's fucking great. Not happy about it. Not like, yay. He was like, it's fucking great.
And that's an exact
that's
quote.
the best thing
Exact
you can
quote,
play.
right?
And he's truly been amazing and super supportive of the whole process. So total dream come true. I wouldn't have done it if I felt like he didn't want me to do it, or there was any, you know, for me these things are sacred, and so many of this world comes out of his imagination. So it's something that I want to treat with a lot of respect, and thank God he's been with us all the way.
Great. Tell us about the cast you've assembled for the movie. Some of the young actors.
It's all young people. Like, I didn't want to have any stars, anybody that you know too much. I think it's always, for me, again, the best experience I had watching movies was all fresh faces that didn't allow me to imagine these are actors or these are people that I associated with anybody else. But they're being amazing. They were really, truly, I mean, they dealt with them, and they care as much as we all did, which is what you want from your cast, to be ready to die for the film, you know. For me, the whole, there's a thing I say to everybody usually on the first day of shooting. This was discussed with the actors, and applies. There's a story of this architect building some like big cathedral in the 1800s, and there's 3 bricklayers. He goes to the first one, he was like, sorry, what do you do? He was like, I lay bricks. Okay. Second guy, what do you do? He was like, I build in this church. This is like big architectural thing, like great. Third guy is like, what do you do? He's like, I build in a house for God. And I always said, the third guy is what we should be, like understanding that what we do, it is fucking sacred and people really care about. And you never think of like, I do this, I'm a grip. I'm like, no, you are doing something magical and really special that moves me and a lot of people that really care about this. So all the actors that was my casting process, was to see either the bricklayer or the one that's building a house for God. And all this kids and everybody in this movie felt that way, that they built in something very special for him. The analogy here is like you guys are God and we're building the house for you, but the audience is they're the ones that decide if it's shit or not. So anyway, so that's why they've been an amazing team. I can't wait for you guys to see them on the screen.
Shane and Alec, how did Fede compare to James Cameron?
Thank you. I gotta cover my ears, be in the back, then I come.
What was the question?
What was it like working with Fede?
That's better, thank you.
Yeah, so you start.
Okay, so Cameron and Fede are similar in that they both love to play with the toys. You know, Fede's way of doing it is to, like, you get it all set up and then he comes over and he lies down on his stomach like a kid on the carpet playing with toys, and he manipulates the thing, the puppet, and he asks questions about it, what can I do, and he gets on the controllers and he plays with it. And Cameron's version of that is to kick you out of the way and grab the controller, and then, you know, go like that, God damn it. So Fede has a very kind and gentle and quiet way of working, and both of them are great. There's no value judgment in what I just said, except Fede is really very appreciative of all the effort that goes into it, and he's appreciative of the crew as well, and just the kindness is really what comes through, I think.
I love Jim Cameron, and I've said it a million times. From the first Terminator, when I worked on that, and the experience with Stan Winston and Jim, I've always said was like having 10 years of film school for me. That was really what it was. And I've always embraced and retained all of the knowledge of that film. I think it was a 42-day shoot and probably a 4 or 5 month pre-build. And I think of it and remember it like it was yesterday. And then of course Aliens, our experience on that film. And Jim was just he's a very hands-on, like Alex says. He's an artist in his own right. He does designs and drawings and paintings. But he's very much like Fede. Fede is very hands-on, wants to puppeteer things, wants to be involved. And I prefer directors like that. Every director's different, but I prefer the directors that are actually part of the crew and don't just sit and dictate from a room someplace far away. And also, it was a joy every morning coming to set. I didn't want the film to end, actually. And when you're welcomed to a set, when you feel like you're a part of the family, which is what Fede creates, it makes you work harder, and that's just really a testament to you. That's really good.
What do you guys think is the reason that the Alien franchise has endured for 46 years now?
It's the magnificence of the design that Giger came up with, first of all, and how Ridley created the world for a start.
Dan O'Bannon and Ron Shusett script that had revolutionary concepts in both sci-fi, the mashup of sci-fi and horror. As you say, Giger was the perfect production designer with Ron Cobb to create the alien look and the Earth technology. And then you had the genius of Ridley Scott. It's like literally lightning in a bottle. Until 5 years later, James Cameron did his own version of it. Amazing.
Personally, I think it's also the themes and the obscure part that you don't see behind that, which just comes from the script and the creature design. It's all that psychosexual bizarreness of that first movie that we still don't understand how it works in our primal brain while we watch it. And that's, I think, is one of the things that still get under your skin. And I find it that it's the mystery we haven't solved. I think usually when they keep coming back, it's because there's a intention of still cracking the mystery, right? Like, I think if I watch another one, maybe this time I'll understand how this movie works on me. You know, it's like, it's like, it's something really strange and attractive about it that usually has to do with that. It's like being attracted to someone. It's a mystery of what do you understand, why exactly you're so attracted to it. It particularly happens with this sort of things where, they're violent and scary and why am I putting myself through this over and over again? So there's something that doesn't have easy answers, and I think best art is always about questions. So the more these movies are mysterious and strange, the more we are attracted to them. And I think there's a lot of mysteries around that original movie in all the movies that haven't been answered yet. So I think we're still coming back to try to see if we can figure it out.
Hi there, my question is for Alec. You are one of my idols. I'm a huge fan of your body of work. What I want to know is, what is your you've been with this franchise for a long time. What is your favorite memory between working with James Cameron and Tom Woodruff throughout this franchise? What has been your favorite memory?
Can you just say it louder, the actual question? I got the compliment.
Yeah.
That's good.
What has been your favorite memory over the years?
My favorite memory?
Working on this franchise.
Man, we've been so lucky to be involved in this franchise that it's really hard. And it all becomes sort of a one thing, right? Like whether it's Aliens or Alien 3 or what have you. I'm just very fortunate to have had a very long business partnership with Tom Woodruff, who was so good in the suit performing. We never had to worry about whether or not that performance was going to be there, whether or not the endurance was going to, because he brought all that to it. So that's a really at this point in my life now that I'm doing a solo effort, and I'm really appreciating his contributions to all that as well. I don't know.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. First off, thank you very much for coming to Monsterpalooza. The trailer's exceptional. Aliens is my wife's and my favorite horror franchise, and you did us proud. It looks so good. I can't wait. I was hoping you could settle a debate between me and my wife. Cameron's Aliens, is it an action-adventure movie with elements of horror, or is it a horror movie with elements of action-adventure?
That's a question for me. Okay, ask me again. If it's Alien is horror with action or action with horror?
Cameron's Aliens.
Cameron's Aliens. I think the thing is depend how old are you when you watch it, I guess. It really changes it. And I was born in '78, so actually I watched Aliens before I watched Alien. And for me it was fucking terrifying. So if anybody tell me after I watched that movie when I was like 9, 10, yeah, that's an action adventure. No, Indiana Jones is an action adventure. This is something else. So I would say that the horror element and the suspense and horror comes first on all of them, even on Aliens, and then everything else is what drives the story. I think the map of the plot. What style is it? If it's survival, you're running away, and if it's action, you tend to want to engage in action. So it's kind of all those genres, all those labels that have more to do with what moves the plot, right? And what direction the characters are. Are they going towards the horror? Are they running away from the horror? I mean, is it chasing their head? All those sort of things have to have. So I think have to do with the plot. So, but at its core, the emotions that at least it gave me that I was. And I think what people go looking for when they go to see Aliens is horror above all things. It's to be scared and thrilled. So it's that horror suspense work.
Nice.
Okay, right here.
Really excited for Alien Romulus, and something we wanted to ask. Just always fascinated me because my folks have told me how when they saw the original Alien that they said people were vomiting in the aisles, and I've introduced the movies to friends, and they've told me it's giving them nightmares. So, what do you think it is specifically about the Alien that makes it so nightmarish and so scary?
I mean, you guys, you take that one. What do you think makes it so scary? The Alien. xenomorph? Why is it so?
I think it's because if you really analyze the design, it's very plausible. It looks like it could be a real creature. It doesn't look so fanciful or artificial that you don't disconnect it in your brain. I think Giger delving into the subconscious of the pseudo-sexual shapes. I remember I was 15 when it came out, which was the year Fede was born. So I had an aunt who was upset with the movie because she was like, "It's all penises and vaginas," and I was like, "No, it's not." And she's like, "You little idiot! Yes, it is." And it took me a couple years later. I was like, "Oh, she was right. It's all penises and vaginas." But it's Giger knew what he was doing with that. And there's something about breaking down the subconscious. That's why there's usually a sex scene in a horror film, because that breaks the audience down and makes you vulnerable. That's an actual science. There's a science to that kind of. It used to happen a lot in the 80s before the certain factions kind of destroyed that in filmmaking, but that kind of breaks you down and makes you vulnerable. But those shapes are all there. They're in the spaceship that they find, the ports that they find, and the shape of the creature. But it also feels like something that could be a living thing. The chest burster, the egg, the face hugger, they all look like creatures from the sea or something that could be real, and I think that's why it works so well. How's that?
Perfect, thank you.
You can thank Aunt Lou for that.
Okay, over here, this side, I think. Where's it this side? This side here, left. My left.
Hello, my question is for Fede. You've been able to play around in both awesome horror worlds like Evil Dead and now Alien. Are there any other horror franchises that you would eventually like to tell a story in? Anything else that would be popular?
Not really. Alien was the only one that I don't make a lot of movies. It's making movies is really, really hard, and if you really care, if it's something special and you really, really care, it's really hard. So I don't make a lot of them. But once, and this was the only one I was like, fuck man, if I could do anything, I'll do Alien. But I don't think there's other. I think it's kind of it is the crown jewel of horror movies for me, right? The Alien. So it's hard to find something. I mean, Evil Dead was as well. It still is. But I'm open to suggestions. Everyone want to yell do one of these, and I'll consider it.
Awesome. Thank you so much, man.
Right here.
So, Alien and Aliens were foundational films for me when I was a kid. I watched them probably when I was a little too young. But anyway, I always saw the franchise not only as the Alien franchise, but as the Ripley franchise. So for Fede, I was just curious, how do you approach this new, before this, after Resurrection, there was spin-offs like AVP and prequels, but now this is feels like the next main Alien movie after Resurrection. So how do you approach the next main Alien movie without continuing the story or having the main character or anything like that?
Well, because I would say that I don't disagree. Ripley becomes the franchise, right? It becomes the heart of it. Though I don't think there's Alien without the xenomorphs, so it's equal. It's in equal parts. But when I did a lot of research, I was in the process of making the first film, and Alien, Ripley wasn't necessarily at first this is going to be the hero, right? It's just actually when you watch the movie with fresh eyes, which is part of what I do to prepare for this movie. I do screenings for people that don't even know what it is, so you can see how people, the closest as possible of what it would be, people's reaction back in the day. So, which is fantastic. You should definitely do it if you haven't done it. Show someone Alien. If they don't know anything about it, it's great, because at lunch, in the middle of the movie, they go now what? The creature's dead? Nothing has happened in this movie. They're all having breakfast happily. It was wait. But one of the things you learn is that Ripley's not even on that great shot when the pods are opening and everybody's waking up. It seems to be the movie more about John Hurt than anybody else. Like, she's not even in the shot. You can even find, I think you probably see her legs in the back, but there's something about that story that just tells you don't know who's going to be the hero. You don't know who's the center. Ripley could have died in the middle of it. You go like, sure. I think she happens to be at the end, like, actually, if everybody thought reading the script and watching the movie that Tom's character was going to be, Dallas, the man, competent guy, was going to be the hero because that was the trope at the time. That was the norm. So I think it's not in the DNA of a good alien film like was an original to necessarily have a central hero that you're following and you can't wait to see how they kick ass. It is more in the vein of horror movies that you don't know really who's going to be the last survivor, right, in a way. So that I kind of approach it from that perspective, thinking, well, in the first one, no one needed really to know that Ripley was a hero or a survivor to have a great experience throughout the movie. So kind of the same here. It's like I feel like ideally you watch and you go like, okay, I understand that I know a bit more about these two characters and the rest, maybe three, but which one's going to survive, you don't know, and then that's the great bet that you can do. It's like which one is going to be the one that comes on top, if anybody.
Hey, lady right here.
Hi, not a lady.
Sorry.
You're all right. I think so the Xenomorph is super iconic, but I think one of the other major iconic things of the Aliens franchise is the spacesuits. You have the Mobius suit in the first one, and then Covenant Prometheus both had some great suits, and then even the Power Loader is sort of in a way that. So I'm wondering, do we have a new spacesuit to look forward to, or anything sort of along those lines?
What's the question again? What are the suits?
I'm wondering if we have a new one to look forward to, sort of a new redesign.
Oh yeah, we do have. I think you see it. Did we see it in the trailer? No, it's not in the teaser. But there's a great spacesuit. I wish I could remember the name of the company that did it. They're amazing at that, and it's great to research back on the suits of the original film, so it's closer to that style. So spoiler alert, but the movie, as you've seen, is very close to the style of the first film. It was one of the joys for me as well to get to the spacesuit and just see it, and also design it and work inspired by the first one. And how can we evolve that a little bit? I don't know. It's just I have a fetish with spacesuits as well. And actually, we have a spacesuit at the office, and it's something beautiful. It's just I hope you'll get a kick out of it. It's like a really, really beautiful design.
Awesome, thank you.
Right here.
Hi, thank you guys for being here. Fede, I just want to say I love your Iron Maiden shirt, by the way. Thank you. And I don't know if you guys talked about this yet or not, but do you guys think we'll ever see a rematch, Xenomorph versus Predator in the future? And would you guys work on that?
If I want to see it or if I want to make it?
If you want to make it.
I want to see it for sure. I really enjoy the AVP movies, and I think, I don't want to say anything I will be quoted in the press tomorrow, but I wouldn't be, interested that Trachtenberg was doing the Prey movies that, we were chatting in a parking lot, not too long ago. After I showed him the movie, actually, I showed him Romulus to Dan, and then we were talking, and he was like, yeah, he's working on his Prey, and we're like, it was some sort of Alien versus Predator thing happening in that parking lot, just Dan and I, going, yeah, your movie's pretty cool, yeah, yours too. And then slowly walking away. The first fight is like, who makes the best movie, right? Is it Prey or my Romulus? That was the first, there's a lot of competition among directors, even we don't admit it to ourselves. There's always that, trying to, top yourself off, and the whole poster ripped thing going on. And so in that respect, there's one already going on, which is what's going to be better, Prey 2 or Romulus. We'll see. But then in the actual making, we'll see. I wouldn't be surprised if Fox definitely after these will want to do something like that. I guess the logic here is if you guys want to see it, I'm sure the studio, Fox will provide.
Thank you so much.
Okay, right over here.
Hi, my question would be for Fede. There's a long history of the Alien franchise, and it recently just got re-released for the 45th anniversary. It was cool watching you talk with Ridley Scott, by the way. but there's so many different eras of it, and with Ridley's new prequels kind of recontextualizing a lot of the stuff we know about the Xenomorph, I was wondering, approaching this film, how did you contend with all of the continuity, and was that a big concern for you, or did you just focus on making it your own thing?
Well, I think it's always, I want to believe in the canon of this movie is like a fucking gospel, like it preaches the Bible. I don't want to never see it, and I think none of us want to believe it's all made up, which it is, but you don't want to believe that, and I don't want to believe that. I want to believe in some other world that's all real, and it's all true, it is the gospel. So I really go and watch those movies never with any cynicism of like, oh, they fucked up that one, or they shouldn't have done this. What I do usually, my exercise is like really trying hard to be on the side of the movie and go like, when you think it doesn't make sense, go like, no, it makes sense. Yeah, I'll tell you why. But one of the good, so I really try to always see everything in the movies as gospel. And even I go to the novelizations and the comic books and really try to get it all together in a way that I don't betray anything that has been said before in other movies, because usually that will wake me up if I see something that we were like, wait a second, it makes no sense. They claimed this on this part and now they say otherwise. So I really try really carefully at the story level, script level, to never betray what's canon on these movies. But it's always part of collaborating with it. I love these movies, and even the ones that people go like, that one was like, loved it too. They always gave me a great moment at the theater, or something to talk about it that stayed with me. Even if it was because I was mad at the movie, stayed with me. And like so, and that's always preferable to the indifference of watching something and go like, nah, whatever. So, you know, I think with the canon thing, I think it's all about how you want to see it. Like I think I said this before, but people were saying like, how come in Prometheus the ship it's almost futuristic, or that's supposed to be before Alien with the enormous trauma, it's a piece of shit. I'm like, but if I shoot a movie right now in LA, but I decide to set it in the desert in a truck from 1945, and I do that, people are going to think that's the world. But you're just seeing a truck in the Mojave Desert. It doesn't mean that's the universe. I think in the first movie you get to see an old truck. Doesn't mean it is a truck. And Prometheus is the ship of the richest man in the world. So then suddenly that makes sense. You go, oh yeah, that makes sense. I didn't know that existed. No one said it in Alien that all holograms didn't exist. We just didn't see them. So again, it's all how much you want to collaborate. I think this is a game we play all the time. You want to play, you collaborate. You go in, you go, yeah, I get it. Once you get older, you watch these movies with your arm crossed going like, no, but when you're a kid, you want to collaborate. Most of us watch those movies that change our life when we're 12. That's the truth. And I even make this film in a way for those kids. I learned with Evil Dead when I made it, it was in a rated R movie, but now kids are watching when they were 10, they're 21, and they have a tattoo all over their chest of my movie. And I understand that they watched it at the right time when it really made an impact. So the same way with this movie. I really tried to, and we all should do that, try to approach it with a more like child mind approach and enjoy it and be part of it and not get too bogged down and trying to find the holes. Because if you're trying to find it, you'll find them. It's just but if you want to be part of the game and enjoy it like you used to do when you were a kid, it's such a pleasure.
I love Prometheus and Alien Covenant, so that's nice to hear. Thank you.
Thank you.
Right here.
I wanted to ask you, how did you
get a little closer to the mic?
I'm a huge fan. I wanted to ask you, how did you approach creating the atmosphere and design for this new film, like mixing Alien and Aliens? And also, did you play Alien Isolation, and did that affect some of your design?
Alien Isolation is what made me want to make this movie. I played 10 years ago. I was playing the game. I was like, fuck yeah. I was like, this. At that time, 10 years ago, I think we all felt like Alien wasn't that scary anymore, and playing the game would be terrified. I was like, can be actually terrifying done well, and that's when my mind started going like, oh man, someone gave me a chance to make one of these. So definitely played the game many times. How do you reproduce the atmosphere? You hire these guys. you hire the people that worked on them and know them pretty well, and it's like I always say, which is the trickiest part with making this movie. It's like, imagine there's a restaurant that you went when you were 12 and you had the best burger in the world, right? It's that restaurant. That's what these movies are. There was a time and a place, you went, you had this thing, change your mind, blow your mind, loved it. And now I'm tasked with the job by the studio saying like, Fede, can you make that restaurant again and serve that burger? I'm like, okay, can you give me the recipe of the burger? And the studio goes like, there's no recipe. Well, can you give me some parameters of this movies? Of that, in this case, this restaurant, like how, I don't know. You know, and so but what we do know, who was the cook? You know, what was the fryer they used? That's why we go to use the same lenses, you use the same formats, and you use the same, we try as much as we can to use similar technologies that they use. But it's all a guessing game. We're trying to reproduce it through the materials, but mostly it's the cooks, the people that were in the kitchen at the time and did the things, and you know, because I said, you know, I hired them, but also I said with a lot of people that work at the VFX on the original film and share stories and really got deep in there to make sure I can reproduce it. Then the bad news is like, even if I give you exactly the same burger, exactly, you go, man, this doesn't taste like I want. Of course it doesn't. You were 12 and it was having the best summer of your life. It's not going to taste like that. So it cannot be exactly the same. So you kind of start there and try to turn it into as close as possible with a sensitivity of an adult as well. What would scare an adult now? That's why I do this. That's why my movies are very perverse. Why would scare a 40-year-old man to tears of making me throw up and run out of the theater like I've seen 40-year-old men do in my movies? So that is the approach. It's a get of the mix, but to answer the question, it's like really, you hire the right people, you try your best, but reproduce an atmosphere of fear is you can do it visually. It doesn't mean emotionally you will achieve it. So what I do is really try to get everybody that was involved in those movies to get them back and also channel my own emotions of how I felt when I watched that and what will create the same emotion today to me as a 40-year-old plus man.
Thank you. Okay, right here.
Congratulations on another movie to all of you. As you're saying, it's not easy to do that. So big congratulations on bringing us another Alien movie. Thank you so much. My question is for Fede. I'm curious, you built suspense so wonderfully in Don't Breathe. It's one of my favorite movies. So what did you learn from working on such a small budget film, even though of course it's not a tiny budget, but what did you learn from that experience that you took into Evil Dead and then took into this movie? And when you look back, how have you grown as a director?
Yeah, I learned so much. Every movie is film school. Working with these guys, and that's why I learned so much of stuff that I wanted to learn how to do practical effects and at this level and make it believable on the screen. But I really don't know. A lot of the things comes, like all of us, we do it only. This is the kind of the complex and mindfuck that this sort of question sometimes have for me. Is like it all comes out of our common sense, right? When I ask any of them like how you do the best thing, they go, well, it's just one way. You got to do this and that and this. That's how it works. You know, it just comes out of purely your common sense of how else can you do it. And other people will look at that and was like, and I look at them when they say that, I was like, mind blow. I would have never thought of that. But for them, it's common sense because it just comes out of their. It's the only thing. So that's why usually artists are surprised when someone tells me that's so great. You go like, it is as common as it could be. You couldn't think of anything else. It's the only way. So it's hard to be surprised or amazed by your own work usually, or even see that. I mean, if you ask me, I always think my movies are terrible. I watch them and I want to cry. I watch Evil Dead and cry because I thought it was the worst movie ever made. And I watched Don't Breathe and I was like so depressed during the making of that film because I thought, what have I done here? And when you want to believe that when I finish and you watch it, you go like, oh no, it's actually pretty good. You know what? I watch it and I was like, that was my career. that's the last one. And then people respond the way they did. So it's so hard to know. It's just there's nothing I can tell you like, oh, I tell you my trick. This is how I just don't know. It just comes out of my common sense that how I do things. Limitations are great. You know, not having a lot of time and budget makes you think harder about solutions that you come up with. But I guess the only thing I think people do too much, and I realize learning watching more, I haven't made more movies and watching them more when it comes to suspense, is that in the mind of the audience, it's always scarier than whatever I can do. So the more I can hold back on revealing what's actually happening, and the more I can hint and kind of tease you about what may be happening on the other side of that door, and I gotta open the door and say, like, maybe I'll hold this another minute, and I go over there, and maybe now we're actually gonna see it. The more you build the movie you want in your head, then obviously when you open the door, it better be great, or even better the way you imagined before. But I think suspense is all about that. It's just like, make sure you cannot wait to know what's on the other side of the door, and hold as much as you can. Don't let the music tell people how to feel. When movies are very, dry in that respect. There's a lot of, I even put no sound sometimes on a lot of shots. Nobody has a lot of that. This one has a lot of that. You might have a long shot approaching someone's back head and turn it around. There will be no sound whatsoever. My movies, I even strip the ambience. Movies put ambience, usually stuff like that. I just take it all out. It's all quiet. So people in the theater just don't even dare to go for the popcorn because it's so quiet. So a lot of like playing, it's basically making sure that your mind turns against yourself, basically, and make the heavy lifting for